So here I am ready to start rendering my scene. I have set up my character, my environment, my lights, and all my poses are really ready for the different moments that I'm going to have my character in frame. And those are based on my sketch of my comic book page. So I'm trying to present my animation on my sequence as if I'm just showing the panels of my page to which I am going to be showing so I'm going to be bringing my camera to it in a specific um, framing, and in order to do that I need to calculate the actual size of my image. So here I have my panel divided in three images for the three moments of my character, going from one horizontal to one semi-vertical to another one that will use pretty much the whole page. So let me try launching a quick little page that I did just for analysis that I can identify what is the file frame size that I need to render, and it'll be that not all of them will be the same size because each panel will have a different proportion. So I made this sketch identifying what my thoughts are going to be. First of all, I'm going to say that I'm going to start my sequence in this frame where I'm using this red line of my framing. So this will be about 1920 by 1080, my first moment. Then my camera is going to pan down to reveal this second moment where I can see my framing there a little bit wider. So I'm going to show some of the details of my page there and even the outside of my page. And then I'm going to go and continue panning and revealing my full page so that I can see the framing of my page there to most likely end up with a full page reveal. So at least with the last one, which is the last frame, would be this one like that. So knowing that this image here at this point here is going to be a specific size for an HD thing. So knowing that my camera is going to have to go closer here, that this is going to be about 1920 pixels, right, by about 1080, which is going to be my proportion of my frame. That makes it that those are kind of 2/3 of the total width of the image. So that means that the image probably is going to have from here to here about 3000 pixels by whatever the 16 by 9 proportion will give me. This second one I need to render out not so much the 1920 by 1080, but the height of this, knowing that this could be probably framing at 1920 by 1080, so probably between here and here I'll have about 1000 pixels roughly. So I can think of this image to be 1000 pixels square, so that I can have a framing there that will give you the actual framing. So let me just do a quick little edit here. I'm gonna draw on this here. I'm gonna say that this one is going to be about a square, just like that. That is going to be 1000 pixels, roughly 1000. I know this one is going to be about 3000, and of course this one here at the end I want it to be from here to here. I'm just think that this is going to be about 1920. So that means that this image here I might want it to be close to 2000 pixels, but because I wanted to have a taller appearance to it, I'm gonna just try to make it maybe 2000 by 3000. Let's see if I can do that. So I'm gonna say 2000 horizontally by 3000 very clear, although I could probably do a trick in Photoshop to get rid of that. So maybe let's make it 2000 by 2000 on that one. So this is a square, and this one is square also. That is 2000 by 2000 roughly. All right, let's see how that pans out. I'm gonna keep my file here. I'm gonna save it so that I don't get confused and forget. So let me just go and save this file quickly here to my folder. Before I move on to working on my scene. Alright, so here it is. I'm just gonna save it there, so I have that reference of my thinking, so that each image I won't forget. Alright, so I'm gonna go and set this up. So I'm gonna render out my very first frame, which I say is going to be about 3000 pixels across for whatever vertical it gives me. I needed 3000 pixels because I needed to have enough, width for the whole scene to be set up in After Effects. It's very important to know also that, of course, the photograph that I need on the background needs to have enough resolution for me to show that. We'll see how that works. Alright, so I'm going to display, I'm going to go back here and know that I need a 3000 pixel at that. This is my frame 28, I believe. I went and created a camera for it already, called it camera 1 at frame 28. So I'm going to have that one right there. I'm already in that camera. Let me look through that camera. So this is going to be a camera that I'm going to be rendering. I'm going to open up my center settings. I have all my AOVs. I have an ambient occlusion. I'm going to test out an outline with it, diffuse, shadow matte, specular, subsurface scattering, and transmission, because I have all of the things that my character needs. I'm going to render out all of them except for the tune line in this first patch, and I'm going to make sure I create 2 layers here, so I'm going to make sure I render out just the all assets, that way I can get everything at once. And I already have my settings ready for my quality, so I'm going to call this one robot render EXR tiled, so I'm going to have separate files, and I'm going to render out frame 28 by 28, and my camera frame is actually going to be 3000 pixels across. I already have that done, and because I told it to maintain the aspect ratio, which was 16 by 9, it gave me already a frame size of the horizontal, of the vertical for that. Alright, so it's going to be a large file, so I'm going to just save my file there. I'm going to put this one to render. And again, I'm not rendering my tune line here. I'm going to render that one out separately. Alright, so let me just make sure I don't have the one selected, so I just render out this layer. Alright, let me just go to submit to render. Make sure you enable all layers, all the cameras, and render view to be added. I'm going to put it to render, and then you just let it crank there while I just pause my video. Okay, so it has finished rendering my first batch of frames, and I'm going to just go look under my images. First of all, just to know where they went, it's always good to look under your script editor, and you're going to discover that I got files saved under my project, my Maya project, images folder, all sets, which was my layer, and of course it rendered the beauty, the ambient occlusion, diffuse, shadow matte, specular, ambient occlusion, again, I guess it rendered 2 ambient occlusions, and then there's a third ambient occlusion for some reason, so I gotta double check what that is. But so those were saved inside of the all images, all set transmission. So let me go there, and I have it here. So under Maya images, all assets, and then you can see all the folders with the actual frame 28 on each one of them. Let me look at ambient occlusion. It rendered just one ambient occlusion, so I'm not sure exactly what that is. This file, actually, the EXR file, I can open it up with Photoshop to look at it. and it's going to ask me if I wanted to see it as transparency or as alpha channel. um, I can do either one. It's just a preview. So if I say have transparency, it's going to show me what I'm going to be seeing in After Effects. This one actually didn't come with any transparency. It just came straight um, ambient occlusion that I'm going to use in my sequence. So there was no channels of transparency on this one, but it's a if we look at the image size for this file, let me see if I can just do that here. Move my window a little bit here. I'm gonna say image size. Let me move it back up and see that it rendered out 3000 pixels across by 1689, which is what I had planned initially. 3000 pixels across, and again it's 3000 pixels because I need to make my whole background match at least the rough size of that window, which is 3000 pixels roughly in my case. Again, calculating that 1920 might be something like this, so I need a little about 1000 pixels more there. Right, so I just need to do the outline, although I don't know how it's going to look, but I'm going to just render out a long line layer here just to see it. So let me just go and do that very quickly. So I'm going to go back to Maya. I'm going to minimize, so close this better. That way I don't take much memory from my render. And I'm going to go now to Maya, and this time I'm going to make my all character layer visible. In this case I'm not using any override, so I'm just doing it manually. My this all character has only the character itself, and this time around I'm going to just to simply check on toolline. Again, I could have done it with creating overrides for all of this, but it just makes it a little bit faster this way. So I'm gonna just say it's gonna render that one out. I believe I'm all set here, so I'm just gonna save my file and I'll make this one visible for sure. Save one more time. Okay, and now I'm gonna go to my render sequence, do those same thing that I had before, render sequence, that way it just launches the window. Hopefully it's gonna come up sometime here. Oh, it didn't come up, so it's rendering the background, but I can see I'm gonna see very quickly here that it's going to be rendering there. So I'm gonna let it just cook in the background, although I minimize my window, I'm not seeing it, but I know it is rendering in the background. So I'm gonna pause my video for now, and then I'll see you on the other side. Okay, so my render has finished, and I'm gonna go and look under my images folder, and here I am. We saw before the all as assets folder for the layers, so I have here now my character folder. I have a bunch of files there that are from previous rendering times. You can see at different dates, so this one is the latest one, and I have it here, and I can see that all the folders were created. But if I go and look inside of the individual folders, none of them have anything. Well, the beauty has it for some reason, but I go under, any of the other ones, there is nothing, but the toolline has its layers. So if I go and open that one in Photoshop, look at its transparency. Couldn't do it because of my disk are full. Give me just 1 second here. Okay, so let's see. Okay, now so there it is. I got my outline with the darker color that I wanted to have, and it's very thin, but I could have changed that in my layer, but I'm gonna stick to it right now as it is. All right, so I got my file there and rendered, and I've taken care of the first frame, which was frame 28 for me. When I go now to look at my second camera, my second camera is camera 2 with frame 44, which I already had identified. Frame 44. Let me make sure that it is showing me 42, 33, 44. The rest, when I just move to that kind of like a skidding position almost, and I'm gonna do the same process, but I gotta go and double check my framing, because in this case the red line shows what my camera is going to be showing in After Effects, but the panel is taller. So if this is 1080, I'd say I had said initially 1000 there, but maybe it needed to be bigger, because yeah, the horizontal maybe half of HD format would be okay, but on the vertical I need it to be taller than that. So I'm gonna have to make it maybe 2000. So I'm gonna just scratch this and make it 2000 vertically, again based on what I'm seeing on my frame and my camera. So I'm gonna make it 2000 by 2000 on this one. Of course, this is going to change my framing right now because my camera is 16 by 9 format. So I'm gonna go under my render settings here, under my common. I'm gonna go to my camera 2, and of course I'm gonna uncheck the maintain aspect ratio, because I need to change the aspect ratio. It won't be 16 by 9 anymore. I'm gonna make it to be 2K square, 2000 pixels by 2000 pixels. That makes it like right there. That pushed the character off frame, so I'm gonna have to move him. Let me turn on the other layer for a moment just to see the whole environment there, or the ground plane. And I care more about seeing his hand than seeing this part of the frame. So I'm gonna make sure that my camera is not locked. I'm gonna select it right now. So, and I'm gonna just move it to the side a little bit. Again, my camera framing is not that, because it's a motion comic, I'm not too worried about it. So I'm gonna just get him to do something like this, keeping in mind that at least in my sketch he's going to be kind of a little bit closer to the top edge than to the bottom because of composition there. So I'm gonna push him back up high, a little bit higher here, just to see how much I can get there. And I'm gonna make him a little bit bigger just there. I'm gonna lock my camera there and see how that works for me. So I'm gonna be something like framing around here like that. Okay, so I think I'm ready to go. I just need to go and change my settings here again. So robot render, EXR is fine, tile is fine. I'm gonna change it, gonna be now my 44 to 44. Camera 2, that's perfect. 2 squares is perfect. Meaning 2048 by 2048. And I just need to save my file, but before I do that, I'm gonna just go and change my settings again. So I'm gonna render out my old character, right? My all assets are better, and that means that I have to switch again this guy, so the 2 line won't render, the other one will render. Okay, I'm just going to save. Let me open up my window here so I can see what it's going to be doing. There we go. So I'm going to shrink it down a tiny bit so I can see it a bit more easily. Alright, so I'm going to submit to render it. Let me make sure I save one more time. I'm going to say render sequence, and here we go. Just render and close when it's ready. And it just gets started on the 2K by 2K right there, you see it, and I'll see you on the other side. Okay, so my rendering for that frame 44 just finished, at least for one section of it. Here I have my folder. I go under the all assets folder and then double check, and there it is. My frame 44 just showed up there. I'm just gonna open it up very quickly. So there is my character is on the ambient occlusion pass, just realized that my character is floating a little bit, but I'm gonna keep going for now just for this demonstration. So I have that one done there, and I need to now go and submit to render now my only character layer on making sure that the correct AOV is going to be turned on, which is the tune line. I'm gonna turn this one on there, and then same frame 44. I'm gonna just save my scene one more time, and I'm gonna just open up my render window. And same settings, and then just submit to render that one, and we'll just wait for that one to finish. Okay, so I just finished rendering my tool line for that frame. I'm gonna just go and double check under the character tool line, and there is my frame 44, and I can see it right there. It just showed me the character as I wanted. So I'm just gonna close this, and now I have just to render out my last frame, which is let me just double check which one that is. On my camera here, camera 3, frame 62, which goes back to this. So that's the pose that he's going to be doing there, and that one is going to be in this last image. And my full image is going to be across here. We want it to be, this image itself actually said 3000 pixels. We said it's gonna be right there in the original one. In this one, my image here is going to be about if this red line is giving me the HD window, right? That means that this image needs across at least 2000 pixels, no more. So that, and again, I'm just measuring because that's what my framing is going to give me, a 2000 pixel window, so that way I can have it. And you can always go a little bit higher. There's no harm in going a bit higher just to have a backup in case it comes too small. So and I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna just make it 3000 just to have a backup plan on this one. So I'm gonna change this one to have to be 3000. So this one is 3000. It's a funky 3. This one became 2000, and I'm gonna go and do that one. So I have frame 22. You see that my framing here is not the same framing that I got on my sketch. My framing needs to be a bit wider, keeping in mind that the important information that I need is the side information on this. So let me try to maintain some of that space there. So of course that means I'm gonna select this camera, unlock it. I'm gonna have to move my camera a little bit backwards to maintain the same frame that he is going to stay. I'll just tip it a tiny bit here, and he's gonna put it right there. Again, I'm kind of mimicking the width of this red window, which is what my camera is going to do in After Effects. So I'm trying to just to get, thinking that the red window is going to give me something like that. Maybe I'm going to push it a bit more to the side there, and then I'm going to lock my camera. So this is my camera number 3. Actually need to change the frame size because I needed to do it. I said I'm going to do it 3000 by 3000, so I'll just change it from 2 to 3000 square. That's increased to 372 by 372. That will slow down the render a little bit more, but it will guarantee they have a high resolution image. Go back to this and go back to my all assets layer. Want to make sure that one is visible right there, and turn off my tune, create my diffuse. Alright, and I think I'm all good. Make sure that I'm going to render out my frame correctly. The frame range is going to be 62 to 62. One last thing, we're going to make sure we click on the right camera, camera 3, frame 62. Frame 62 right there, 3K So I'm gonna save my file one more time and then just submit my render. And this one here, and then render and close. So I'll see you at the other end, and we'll just work from there. Okay, so I just got that frame rendered. Let me double check under my all assets layer, and there is my frame 62. So that should give me all the information about it. Right now I have my Photoshop not wanting to work, but fix that one in a minute. So I know that those images are working there, so I'm not going to check it right now. So the last part that I need to do is just the line work for that layer, or for that frame. So I'm going to just minimize here, and I'm going to go back to the all character. I'm going to turn on my tune, but there is one thing that I want to adjust there, and it is that the line, I've been noticing that the line for that, it's going to be a little bit too thin. So let me try to get to the actual frame size. I just click 1 just to make sure that the actual frame size is there. I'm just going to put here a little bit larger, and then hit 1 that we can see the actual frame of my model, the actual size, I mean, of my object. And now I'm going to look at the rendering for that tune. Actually, I'm not going to do it in this window. I'm going to do it in the Arnold render window so that I can see it a little bit better there. I'm going to just try to do a quick dance render here just to get my initial framing. I'm going to go to my tune line right now. And I'm getting the transmission there. I forgot to turn that one off. So I'm going to get my transmission, my tune line there. I'm going to render my tune line. And it's going to take a few seconds to get it. Just try to get a full size. It's a 3000 pixel frame, so it will take a few. There it is. So I'm looking at it right now at the actual scale, and the line is a bit thin. So I'm gonna just push it a bit more so that I can get it to be a bit thicker. So now I can go in and change the thickness of the line by activating the under the tune line AOV, going on to select the filter. That opens up the filter options for that tune AOV. I'm gonna change it to remember the filter contour. The default comes in 2. I'm gonna just bring it up to 4. But at the same time, I'm going to go and modify some of the settings for my sampling. So because the line doesn't need subsurface cutting, doesn't need transmission, doesn't need specular, I'm going to bring the diffuse to 2 and the camera to 2. You can play with those values to get a better line quality. 1 and 1 might be a little too little, 2 and 2 might take a bit longer. So I'm going to save my scene here. I already have the camera already selected from the previous time, so I should be all good to render it. So let me try just calling my window there and render sequence there, and then I'm gonna submit that to render, and then we'll just wait for the other part to do. Okay, so I just finished rendering, and I'm just gonna call here. So you see now under my character tune line I got my frame 62. So I'm gonna go and open it up, and there we go. Oh, just my Photoshop is having some issues today, but hopefully it's right there showing it. You can see it right there that is showing Now I can't open it. My computer is having some issues because I'm videotaping right now. But anyways, I got it. It's working there. I have the line there to work on my compositing. So for now, I'm all good to go. I believe, all my three frames on all the different um, layers or AOVs to do the compositing in After Effects. So for now, I'm gonna just stop it here, and then we'll work. And next it will be in After Effects.